times I think that no one seems to listen. There are times I think they listen but don't hear.
Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. Out of all the Disney sequels that were made, this is considered as one of the definitive worst. No matter what website it came from or who made it, this is one of those films that you'll always find in a top list of worst Disney sequels. Right next to films like Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World, The Fox and the Hound 2, and Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. However, considering how legendary the original film is since its 1991 release, there shouldn't be a surprise that Disney tried to milk it for what it's worth and made a cheap sequel out of it. In fact, Belle's Magical World isn't the only sequel made of the film. Before it, there was The Enchanted Christmas, which to this day, people are still debating on which Beauty and the Beast sequel is worse. By the way, I just want to give a shout out to Tyler Rodriguez and his best friend Melina, whose amazing support on Patreon got them this review. But back onto the movie, is there something more to this magical world that people aren't seeing? Or will this film even make Gaston look good in comparison? Let's find out! The story. Now, before I get into the film, I just want to give a little context. Similar to what they did with The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, they originally wanted to make a Beauty and the Beast TV series, and they already have several episodes done for the show. Unfortunately, the series never happened. So to make sure they don't waste any of the episodes already completed, they put them together and released it as a direct-to-video sequel to the 1991 Disney film. Now, with that said, I think I can see why it didn't make it on TV. Let me just start off that the 4 episodes, or in this case, segments, The Perfect Word, Fifi's Folly, Mrs. Potts' Party, and The Broken Wing, barely have any connections with one another than the fact that it's set in the Beast Castle and it features the same characters. What's even worse is that each segment barely has a plot. In fact, it goes through this very repetitive pattern of characters organizing a thing, they get into shenanigans, conflict ensues, Belle comes in to dumb us down with a moral, everybody's happy again, rinse and repeat. Oh, and sometimes Belle sings the moral at the end through a song that sounds like she just made up on the spot.
It isn't much, but it means a lot. It's not a little thing to have a little thought.
And speaking of the morals, this is where the movie gets really tedious. Not only are they really dumbed down, but it feels like Belle's purpose in the film is to really hammer in each moral as much as she can. Rather it be to always apologize, working together is better, or you must earn respect rather than to demand it. There is one major exception in this though, and that is Fifi's Folly. Instead of forcing us with any morals, it decided to be the worst segment of them all, with an extremely tiresome plotline, even for television standards, and characters who get really annoying quick. It seriously was the hardest to sit through. As TV episodes, the plots are rather pathetic. As a series of stories for a movie though, it's just downright embarrassing. The animation. This is where it's the most evident that it was meant for TV. Like many of these direct-to-video sequels, the quality of the animation has been seriously reduced from their theatrical predecessor. I know it seems unfair to compare it to Beauty and the Beast since what Disney has done there is nothing short of revolutionary, but I can't help but feel like it didn't even try. The only thing that the animators got right are sticking to the designs of the original, and the backgrounds are nicely done. So I'll admit that some effort has been put into this. That, and despite the character animation being limited, it is cute and a little creative with how they depict some of the extra living objects, even if others can look like just a walking face. However, those with a good eye for the technical aspect of the visuals will notice a ton of issues. Yes, they are stuck with a small budget, but there are plenty of aspects that result in things that don't make sense. For example, there are times when the Beast would run around on a rampage, yet he still manages to not break a single thing in his castle. Also, the relationship between the character animation and the backgrounds feel non-existent. Sometimes you'll see them walking and the backgrounds moving, but they somehow don't sync together. And let's not forget about those little animation goofs that pop up from time to time. From derpy eyes to bad coloring, these slip-ups are often minor, but when you see them, it's hard not to notice.
Memories, which she would cherish like precious gems.
I won't say that the animation is terrible, but it feels like the quality hit a new low compared to its predecessor. The characters. It is pretty sad to see some of the most beloved Disney characters turn into these generic and often dumb tropes. Whatever sense of character and complexity they have in the first film were completely stripped off of them, to the point that they're either one-dimensional with the single trait that they have, or even feel unrecognizable. These include the Beast being Mr. Grumpy Grump, Cogsworth is the Beast's right-hand man, Fifi is Lumiere's girlfriend, Belle, like I said earlier, is the voice of reason, and others like Lumiere, Mrs. Potts, Chip, and Armoire are just there to either help Belle or to cause conflict. I do appreciate that they brought back most of the original cast like Jerry Orbach, Joanne Worley, and David Ogden Stiers, and even Paige O'Hara and Robbie Benson did do their best with what they were offered, except for Mrs. Potts. Instead of bringing back Angela Lansbury, the movie replaced her with Anne Rogers. And, well...
I want you to know that I knew of your scheme from the start, gentlemen. You're in hot water. I suggest you boys confess to what you've done.
Yeah, she's no Angela Lansbury. And then there are the new characters, which are all performed by some voice acting superstars, including Jim Cummings, Jeff Bennett, Rob Paulson, and April Winchell. They are just a bunch of one-note characters like some of the recurring ones. Some, like Crane and LaPlume, are kind of pointless, while others have a recurring joke that's never funny. Like Chandelera somehow has bad hearing, and Webster likes to say word a lot and use big words as well. You get it? 'Cause he's a dictionary, and he knows a lot of words, except for memorable and likable. It's funny how the filmmakers were trying to teach us things like how to apologize, when they themselves should be doing that for what they've done to the characters. Out of all the direct-to-video Disney sequels that were made, Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World is one of the most unique films in terms of its execution and how it came into fruition. However, it also makes it the most pathetic and dumbest excuse to cash in on one of the greatest animated features ever made, with a series of stories that have nothing to do with one another, offering little plot and more tediously hammered down morals, cheap animation, and iconic Disney characters turn into something completely bland and sometimes annoying. If this was not good enough to be aired on TV, what made Disney Toons think that they could just take these barely watchable episodes, pile them together into 90 minutes, and distribute it as a follow-up to Beauty and the Beast? If you're like me and you truly love the original film, then I highly suggest to just stay away from this movie. It was even hard for me to just sit through one segment. It is a failure as a TV series, it is a failure as a movie, and it is enough of a failure to get the AniMat's seal of garbage. guys, this is AniMat. Once again, I would like to thank Tyler Rodriguez for his great support on Patreon, which allowed him to get tons of rewards, including this one of a review of Belle's Magical World. Now, if I can be really honest about the movie, I feel like I would have been much more forgiving to it, along with plenty of other people, if it were more honest about itself. Now, what I mean by that is that I did mention that this was supposed to be a TV series, like this was supposed to be its standalone Beauty and the Beast TV show. But unfortunately, it never got aired, so they pretty much took the unaired episodes and pretty much turned it into this. Now, if they marketed more as like lost episodes to a TV show that never happened, then I probably would have been much more forgiving to it. Like I said, it's not really that good as a TV show anyways, but at least it would have been honest. Because, like, the fact that they called this a movie, it's almost insulting in a way. Like, even The Enchanted Christmas, say what you will about it, at least that is a movie. Like, it's one continuous story from beginning to end. This is, like, barely a movie. The fact that there's barely any connections to any of the stories, it just makes no sense. It's just like, it feels really cheap, the fact that they have to call this a follow-up to Beauty and the Beast. And honestly, just be honest with it. You know, that could have been a moral that Belle's Magical World would have told us. Just be honest. Because apparently they didn't put it in because that's not honest. Because that's not a movie. But anyways, now with that done, it's time that we go and move on to the next review in the animation hat. Oh, and by the way, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would pull out of the animation hat, then write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. Also, if you guys want to be like Tyler and you want to go support my work and get some awesome rewards on the side, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. Alright, now, let's get this going. I missed it! I missed it! Whatever that was. Oh, God's sakes. Okay, now I gotta do clean. There we go! Okay, I got one! And the next review shall be... If I can... Okay, there we go. Okay, what? Huh. Okay, well this is... I don't know how this is really going to be. Or I'm not really 100% sure if this was actually based on the video game, but either way, for this review, I'm going to hell.